Well, good day, my friends. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion and the beautiful Katie.
Hello.
And we have a fun, exciting day today, at least for us. We love the band Boston, especially the first album. And we're going to show you today where one man created that album that you know, More Than a Feeling, kicks off the album. He recorded that alone, for the most part, in the basement of his rented home in Watertown, Massachusetts. Daze with Jordan the Lion and you all. It begins right now. So it's a pretty busy street, and Tom Scholz is this man that we've been talking about. Now, he actually grew up in Toledo, Ohio, and he just had a fascination with electronics, so he ended up being able to fix everything around his house as a kid. He could work on cameras, he could work on his microwave, toaster, you name it. But he was also a great basketball player because he was 6'5" when he was in high school. So his high school basketball team actually went to the state finals, and he was really good. He probably, they say, could have went pro, except he got a full ride scholarship offer to the prestigious MIT and decided to take that. Went to the school and actually had near perfect grades and got a job right out of school working for Polaroid at 21 years old as the senior product developer. Oh, did I also mention that he was a classically trained pianist? So right over here is the house, and he was renting it at the time while he was working for Polaroid. He didn't even actually know how to play guitar when he moved here and started working for Polaroid, so he learned how to play guitar. Never ever thought he would be a rock and roller, but inside this house, in the basement, he recorded that very first Boston album. Now, Katie knows, how often am I walking around the house humming a song and you look at me and say, are you singing Rock and Roll Band by Boston again?
Too many, but I'm a Boston fan, so I'll live with that.
Now, this house is really cool because he didn't have a big budget, right, Katie? We read that he actually spent what he was saving for his first down payment on a house and bought a mixing board, and that's how he got it all started. But he was such a electronical wizard, he used to actually tinker with all the components and everything to get the sounds that he couldn't get anywhere else.
Yep, absolutely. He went on record saying that he pretty much had to kind of create all of this equipment to match what he heard in his head. So that's exactly what he did. He really believed that you didn't need expensive equipment to create wonderful sound.
Yeah, and he actually proved it here because in the basement here, he came back here like, I don't know, 5-6 years ago after like 40 something years. And he tells the story. He goes down the basement and he shows this little like bedroom sized basement with wood paneling. And he looks up and he says, oh yeah, that's the masking tape that I put up here. And he says that he, put all that equipment in there and he just recorded all the parts himself. He brought in a drummer and he brought in Brad Delp to sing on it and made the recordings. He said he had several sessions of doing like demos and stuff here, and he sent them out to every label he could think of and got rejected by everybody. And he said this happened several times, but it didn't stop him from staying up late every night and going in late to work every day, basically. But he said, I kept recording, and finally I said, I'm going to give it one more shot. And he called Brad and said, hey, can we do one more set of recordings? And he said he did this set, sent him out, and Epic Records, that was owned by CBS, actually was interested. So they sent a producer out here, and they looked at Tom's setup down in the basement, and they were like, no way, you can't record a big album in this kind of environment. You just can't do it. And so Tom said they were actually walking through the house right to the other side of this door. The producer opens the door, is getting ready to walk out, and he turns around, he looks at Tom and he says, okay, you record everything here, you bring the masters to LA and we mix it in LA. And Tom said, I'm about ready to say, okay, great. And then he says the producer said one thing that shocked him. Remember what he said, Katie?
And we'll split the producing royalties 50-50. That was like 2 seconds later. So he was so happy that he at least waited those couple extra seconds.
Yeah, if you don't know, the splitting the production or splitting the producer credit made Tom a ton of money because the producer gets a certain amount of points off of the record. So this record, for the most part, everything except for like one song was done here. Tom said he actually took personally the masters out to LA and took Brad Delp out to LA, and he said they got most of the vocals done there, but the smog in LA attacked Brad's vocal cords and he couldn't end up singing everything. So then they brought the tapes back here. We're gonna go over here because you can see like another side entrance, and went to the basement and they recorded the rest of Brad's parts in the basement, and then once again went back out to LA, mixed everything. The album came out. Initially it sold extremely well. I think they said 500,000 copies within the first like week or two. Then by the end of the first year, it had been like platinum. To this day, it's like 77 to 80 million copies of that record sold. And Tom said he invested a whopping, what was it?
It was
$2,000?
I was about to say around $2,000 it ended up being. Could you imagine?
He said mainly what it was he invested in the little components he had here, and he bought a bunch of SM57 microphones for the drums, and ended up, he didn't even have a band. So he went from being just this one guy with a great album to having to put together a band, then going out on tour, and then sustaining the band. They did a really cool thing as far as finding a replacement singer.
You know what? They actually found a Boston super fan and held an audition, and he got the blessing. So he got to perform with them as lead singer.
So I just love this. I mean, to think of somebody who had a regular job at Polaroid, wasn't even playing guitar as a kid, like learned it in his 20s, and then makes one of the coolest guitar rock albums ever. Blows my mind. He said he used to sit in the basement here while he would make those recordings. I said I would close my eyes and I would imagine I wasn't in a basement in Watertown. I would imagine that I was like in a rock and roll stadium somewhere listening to this rock and roll band. And he said, and I could hear it. I could sit there and I could actually imagine that was really happening. So I love seeing where he made that dream come true, and seems like a really awesome guy. I mean, I've written him fan letters, and he signed all my photos and sent them back and stuff. And I know his son also went to MIT, so pretty brilliant family. But man, just this album, I mean, if you know, everything on the album is great. Literally every song on the record is incredible, and to me, it's every instrument is something like, if you were wanting to be a rock and roller and you want to be a great guitarist, you listen to this album. You want to be a great bassist, you listen to this album. You want to be a great singer or drummer, it's all in this album. And to think the producer almost walked out that door and we may have never ever heard it. Could have just been lost to the times, but as that door opened, he had second thought and turned around and told Tom, "We'll do it your way." And you get to be half producer. That is so awesome. Boston went on to make a ton of great records, but to me, that first one was just, there was something so amazing. Not only the music, but the album cover itself. It had that crazy UFO, but if you actually look at the artwork for that, it is a guitar. It is a guitar spaceship. So I always thought that was so inventive that the music matched sound. Katie, what's your favorite song on the record?
It's hard to choose, but I would have to say More Than a Feeling, definitely, and Take You Home Tonight. There's so many. I love Amanda, which is off of a different album, but again, it's a very similar sound. He was a perfectionist, and it didn't get put through unless Tom felt it was perfect.
Yeah. For me, More Than a Feeling, rock and roll band, I love all the Boston stuff, but I grew up listening to this stuff. My parents would play it while we were driving around, going to do family things, and to see where this music was created just kind of blew my mind today. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Go listen to the first Boston album from Watertown, Massachusetts. Have a great night, everyone. Goodbye.